Gut feelings can sometimes feel scary. So how do we approach and hear what these gut feelings are saying when we might be a little hesitant on the forefront because what if they say something we don't want to hear? What if they tell us a direction or a next step that is scary or is risky or changes our current life and our current trajectory? Here's my tip of the day for how to tune into those gut feelings. One tip I talk about more in depth in Ready Enough is to lessen our expectation and our pressure on ourselves to act on what we learn. This may seem counterintuitive because when you're tuning into your gut, you're likely looking for what to do next or what decision to make. However, that's where the fear can really start to amplify because we think if we learn, if we hear the direction, the next step, we have to then enact it immediately or right away. And that's what starts to feel scary. And so we just don't listen to the gut feeling at all. Instead, tell yourself, remind yourself, and I did this just this morning, I don't have to act on this right away. I am just curious about what my gut is telling you. So really genuinely see if you can show up to the meditation, to the breath, to the journaling, to the conversation with the idea that you don't have to act on the insight you're about to receive. What is my gut feeling telling me? No matter what, I don't have to do anything about it. I'm just curious what my gut says in this instance. Then, of course, you can decide what action, if any, you want to take after learning that. But give yourself so much space in the curiosity, in the figuring out what your gut is telling you. That will take you out of the fight, flight, or freeze response and allow you to actually receive and feel your gut feeling. Again, I share in the post that if we don't listen to those subtle knocks, I see time and time again with my clients, I've seen it in my own life, that oftentimes we then just get hit with a really big life event, a 2x4 across the face that says, it's time to change. You've known this all along. So either wait till that point, and it's likely going to be way more startling and uncomfortable, or address and face the discomfort that is in this moment. I'm not denying that. It might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's going to be subtler, it's going to be gentler, and you're going to have the time and space to sit with whatever you feel and then intentionally make a plan of action on the other side rather than something hitting you and it feeling very out of your control in the future. I am sitting in the Target parking lot after going to dance class, and on my drive home from dance, I re-listened to the Joy Is Now podcast I was just featured on, and that was just released. And I just gotta say, it's good. It's really good. It's really informative. It's really fun always for me to re-listen to these podcasts because in the moment, I'm in the moment and we just have a good conversation, me and the host. But this one has a ton of golden nuggets about if you're struggling to figure out what you're wanting to do, if that feels hard for any reason. And then if you've ever dealt with guilt, which all of us have. We specifically talk about women and guilt, and there's a lot of good psychological nuggets that are very accessible, and I'm even like writing down notes or creating one-liners that I will restate or highlight from the episode that both her and I shared. So check it out. It's a good one. So you've heard the quote before, the 3 people you spend your most time with are the ones that influence your life. Have you ever applied this to your media consumption as well? Ever since I heard that idea, that not only is it the 3 humans, but especially in the day and age of social media and how much media in general we're consuming, that also applies to the people or the platforms where we're spending our most time. And that is why I intentionally seek out other powerful, successful women in the media to fill my brain space. And that's what I did last week when I turned on J.Lo's halftime documentary. But it really inspired me, not only her story, which is amazing, but also the reminder of what it looks like to stand up for what you want, what you believe in, and what you know you're worth. So naturally, I filmed a whole video about it to share online, especially after Friday, to stand up for and share others' women's voices and remind all of us, myself included, that it is not demanding. It is not overbearing. You are not out of line by having desires and by asking for them, by having dreams and making them come true, by knowing your worth and demanding it.
I've heard a few other people talking about the Halftime documentary, so if you have watched it as well, I would love to hear your takeaways and maybe join that conversation over on YouTube. And if you struggle at all with this conversation, if you're already feeling uncomfortable or hesitant, or you can feel those limiting beliefs come in, maybe you're feeling unclear about what it is you actually value and desire in the first place, I'm really excited to be opening the doors for Decision Made, my 2-hour decision coaching intensive. Just as of yesterday, applications are open. I ask a few questions to get the conversation going, to also already help you start reflecting on your current decision, on where you may be struggling and what you desire. And on the other side of that application, I am here to continue that conversation and to help you parse through what's going on and if Decision Made would be a good support for you at this time. Also, for those of you who love a good deal, I am introducing celebratory launch pricing. So if you're wanting a deal, or if you're needing an extra nudge to get over the hump and just submit an application to inquire about what this could look like and to already start receiving support from me, that is your extra nudge. Go to yesandbymarin.com/decisionmade, or back to where this conversation started, if you're just looking for inspiration about what it means to live in alignment with your values and your dreams. Watch my reaction video to Halftime, J-Lo's newly released documentary on Netflix. Or if you haven't seen it yet, I do highly recommend watching Halftime on Netflix. It was really good.
Raise your hand if you needed this reminder today. I know I definitely can also get stuck in this really tricky belief that the decision you're currently facing is the only one you will ever make. When we're facing something that feels so significant, like what major to choose or what career path to choose or whether to say yes or no to this offer that is in front of you, whether to move across the country or not and uproot your entire family, those feel really big, and they are really big. But that tricky belief that can sneak in and sabotage us from being able to make a really confident, clear, and trusting decision is the belief that this decision is the only one that exists. And in that moment, that's what it feels like. I showed 2 images that I shared with my group coaching clients last week during our weekly group call, because it really depicts the difference between what it feels like in the moment and then the reality of what life looks like when we zoom out. It shows that crossroads between one decision, and yes, it is a decision, go right, left, or straight. Maybe there's even more options than that. That is a decision to make. But what we forget, and what gets masked by that tricky belief that this is the only one that exists, is that when you choose to go right, at some point, you're going to make a different decision. And you can go left and then left again and get back to a similar place as where you began. I don't know of a way to actually go back in time or to actually bring ourselves back to the exact same crossroads that we were once at. However, I think sometimes we get stuck thinking that it was that one way or nothing. And this also comes up, as I shared in today's posts, as these regret statements. I could have, I should have, I would have. If only I had made this other choice, then I'd be living my dream life, or then I would be in this relationship, or then I wouldn't have lost an opportunity, or then I would have gained this opportunity. And those statements are getting at the exact same thing. Here's how we can start to unravel this tricky and limiting belief and help yourself to get unstuck from these regretful statements of the past. Figure out what's underneath those would've, could've, should've statements. What value is trying to be represented or was trying to be represented? What desire or dream is still on your heart that could've, should've, would've been represented in that way, but still maintains to this day? That value, that desire, that goal is still obviously resting on your heart and in your mind in some way. And again, you might not be able to go back and do that exact singular pathway that you once would have, could have, should have done. But today you can still pursue those values, beliefs, desires, goals, aspirations, needs, even if it's in a slightly different way. And quite possibly, you can pursue it in a very similar way than you would have, could have, should have done in the past. So give yourself some credit. Zoom out to that big picture map. You can always choose differently to either recenter and come back to what you've desired and needed and preferred all along, or to try something different. You're not alone if you're feeling regrets, if you're ruminating about something, and there is a way out of it by tackling this belief that this is the only decision or that was the only decision you would ever make in your life.